Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Laces Out podcast, our NFL podcast. Now, I have to apologise right at the start. There is technical difficulties in this one. No idea what happened. Audio drops out my end, and as the person recording the audio, that's an amazing thing to have happen. Luckily, Paul and our guest Matt managed to keep the ship right and get us through to the end. But yes, there will be have to be some investigations into that one. Before we start, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Drop any reviews you want to drop and share the podcast around. If you've got an NFL fan in your life, send them this podcast. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast. Laces out.
Recording in progress.
Paul, as soon as we share hosting duties on this, why don't you lead us off?
Well. I'll do my best, Mr. Cook. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to your weekly instalment of NFL-based chatter. We're going to go through the results of Week 14, look ahead to Week 15, little side bet action, little stats action, maybe a little bit of banter across the road and stuff like that. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm here, Mr. Cook. You've already heard his voice. You've already seen his face. We're joined this week by another guest, making his second appearance on the podcast this season. It is San Francisco 49ers fan, Mr. Matthew Moore. How are you, sir?
Good. Well, worried that the injury case might catch me at some point, but
I mean, just having any sort of affiliation to that club, that area, must just come with, checking both sides before you cross the street.
Any day now, they're going to designate you as their quarterback, and your days are going to be numbered, I'm afraid.
I'll twist my knee driving my car or something like that, and that'll be it, done for the season.
Torn ACL out for the season, damn it.
Almost exclusively. But we'll get to that later on. But yes, so Matt's been on this podcast already this season, so there's no season-long predictions to go through. So we'll just dive straight in with Week 14's picks that we had last week, and we'll see which of the people that made those picks won the week. So it was myself and Andy making the usual selections as always, and our guest was a first timer. It was a first time appearance, not in the flesh, but from a predictions perspective, of one Mr. James Williams. He had submitted his predictions. Let's see how we got on. So, in third/last place, with 6 out of 13 selections correct, it is this guy right here.
Whoa.
I'm sadly let down by the Raiders, the Vikings, the Steelers, the Titans, the Seahawks, Buccaneers, and Dolphins. Terrible. 6 out of 13 selections correct. That means 7 out of 13 selections incorrect. Less than halfway. Poor form, Mr. Williams. In joint first place, with 7 out of 13 selections correct. It is a tie, ladies and gentlemen, but sharing the points this week in his first appearance on the podcast is Mr. James Williams, and shares them with co-host Mr. Andrew Cook. James made a cracking start to the week. He had the Rams to beat the Raiders, where Andy did not. So Andy was let down by the Raiders, the Vikings, the Titans, the Seahawks, the Buccaneers, and the Dolphins, whereas James was let down by the Vikings, the Steelers, the Titans, the Dolphins, the Cardinals, and the Texans. For about 3.5 quarters, he looked like he had made an inspired pick by taking the Texans to beat the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And I was going to text you and say, Has he just pulled this out of his ass? But no, the Cowboys rallied, came back in the fourth quarter, and got the dub to make it 10 wins for the season, I believe. 11, 9? Or possibly 9. There are a couple of wins behind the Eagles as well. So, what does that do for the season-long scores, I hear you ask? It does move the guest onto 4 points total for the season. Andy moves to 4.5 points total for the season, and I'm still in the lead on 6.5 points for the season. 4 weeks of the regular season left.
All to play for.
All to play for. Anyone could win this. It's down to the guest this week to
Obviously,
see if he can rally.
Something that we will have to cover is the fact that one, James Williams has A, made predictions, B, tied for first place for the week. Let's face it, there's only one step left, and that is in the flesh appearance. We all know it's 3 strikes and then you're on in this one.
Well, we'll just have to we'll have to put it to the listeners and the viewers. If they want to see it, we'll have to make it happen.
Take to Twitter.
Definitely got in your head. He's the only person who's been able to fluster you and get in your head to kind of absolutely kind of ruin your predictions as well.
Terrible
stuff.
I obviously let him rattle me, and I can't allow that to happen.
Probably came on, called you dickhead and all that kind of thing.
Probably.
And,
What an absolute shit stain. So, side bet, week 14. Andy had selected the Cincinnati Bengals to beat the Cleveland Browns. Big tick. The Buffalo Bills to beat the New York Jets. Big tick. He did have the Seattle Seahawks to beat the Panthers. There's no point there, I'm afraid. And, somewhat surprisingly, he had taken the Vikings to beat the Lions. Now, not a lot of people would have said that would have been a loss in the loss column there. Vikings with a chance to clinch the division. Absolutely bottled it. What can you say? So, moving into the week, Andy was on 31 points. I was on 37 points. Andy moves to 33.
That is not what I was looking for.
Not ideal. I had taken the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Broncos. I mean, that's just like shooting fish in a barrel, wasn't it, to be honest with you? I had also taken the Dallas Cowboys to beat the Houston Texans. So that's 2 that I could have been sweating on there to a certain extent. Sadly, I did have the Raiders to beat the Rams. No good. Baker Mayfield. He's clearly the best quarterback of all time. What was I thinking? And another surprising one, after 9 straight seasons of not being able to get the job done, the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Tennessee Titans. Oh dear. Paulie had the Tennessee Titans. That's a big cross right there. So, I also got 2 out of the 4 selections correct, moved me on to 39 points for the season. So, that 6-point gap remains. So it still balls in my court somewhat, you might say, for the side bet. But listen, all it takes is one horrendous week from me and one perfect week from Andy, and it's right back in bed.
And we keep saying that. Obviously, time is running out. I feel that it's probably getting out of reach at this stage of the season, but it will just take. And I mean, some of those games that you read out there, they were banker games, and apparently weren't, because this season is just weird. So anything can happen, nothing could happen. We'll soon see.
We absolutely will, sir. So that is week 14 from a predictions perspective, wrapped up and done. Just to finish it off though, we do have some stats about week 14 that we're going to go through right now.
So, unlike me, who screeched in at the last minute with some predictions this week, the stats mistress was well on the bobby and delivered some delicious stats. Now, it's one of those weeks where there's only 12, so I divided that between the 3 of us, but those 12 are whoppers. I think at this stage of the season, the stats just get bigger and bigger. These are the Week 14 stats for the 2022 season, brought to us by the Stats Mistress and brought to her by Nate Davis of USA Today. The stat number 1 goes a little bit like this. Philly. now 12-1. Became the first team this season to clinch a playoff berth. Demolishing the NFC East rival New York Giants 48-22 and has 2 more wins than any other club. Sunday, Hurts became the first quarterback to rush for double-digit touchdowns in consecutive seasons. Yet another bullet point on his growing MVP resume. I did see the lineup for the MVP race at this point in time, and there's going to be some tough picking in that. Number 2. In the other conference, the Kansas City Chiefs just about locked down their 7th straight AFC West championship, and one more win or loss by the Chargers, they beat Miami on Sunday night, will seal the deal. Whenever it's official in terms of league history, the Chiefs division reign will trail only the New England Patriot 11-year dominance 2009 to 2019 of the AFC East. Number 3, Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce's 71 receiving yards gave him 10,045 for his career. Only 4 of the tight ends in NFL's 103 seasons have surpassed the 10,000-yard plateau. Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, Shannon Sharp, and Jason Witten. Kelce also reached 1,000 yards for the 7th consecutive season, extending his own record among tight ends. He is legit, ladies and gents. Final for me. Although the Chiefs took the win, Mahomes was being outplayed by Broncos counterpart Russell Wilson, who was having probably his finest game. 247 yards and 3 touchdown passing, 57 yards rushing in a Denver uniform until he was knocked out in the 4th quarter after getting driven headfirst into the turf at the end of a 14-yard scramble that appeared to leave him dazed. Did you guys see the lump that was very quickly revealed while he was sat on the sidelines? It looked like he had a golf ball glued to the side of his head. It's one of those. Yes, he was driven in. What does it say? Driven headfirst into the turf. Honestly, at points in this season, I'm surprised that it wasn't a Broncos player that did it, because they're not his biggest fans, I don't think. Paul, I believe it's over to you.
Well, we continue the stats, and what a shame. Tom Brady's homecoming to Northern California was ruined by the San Francisco 49ers. How dare they? The Niners pillaged the NFC South leading Bucs 35-7, leaving them with a precarious 1-game lead over the Carolina Panthers and idle Atlanta Falcons in the division. Brady threw a pair of INTs, and dare we say it, occasionally looked like a player who should consider not playing in 2023. Sunday's loss to the Niners rookie Brock Purdy was TB12's first to an opposing quarterback making his first NFL start. Brady had previously been 6-0 in such instances. I carry on. With the Minnesota Vikings 10-3, failed to join Philadelphia in the NFC playoff field for now, and missed a chance to sweep the NFC North by losing to the Detroit Lions on Sunday. The Vikes will almost certainly claim the divisional throne, but their Week 2 loss to the Eagles effectively puts them 3 games behind in the race for home field advantage, first round post-season bye. Is it easy to say that they're possibly the worst 10-3 team that's ever been?
I was about to say, I saw a tweet at the weekend that said, the Vikings are the worst 10-3 team in history. And I was like, I mean, that is just amazing tweet writing right there. That is bang on.
On top of that, if they were 9-3, they'd be the worst 9-3 team ever as well. Just on DVOA, they are shocking.
Terrible. I mean, it's like, I'm pretty sure they've got a negative points differential. So obviously they've won their games very closely and been blown out in the losses. So
they give a lot of garbage time, or like their second half. I think their half and half statistics are, if you were a betting person, you'd bet on them to win the first half and lose the second half, but win the game.
yeah,
Kind of thing. That would be the bet that you would do with that, because they just, I don't know what they do. They just seem to, I don't know if they just go into their shell or what, but they are not a good second half team.
No, not at all. Continuing on, keep an eye on Detroit, 6 and 7. Winners of 5 of the past 6. The Lions can become the first team since the playoffs expanded in 1990 to reach the postseason, despite a 1 and 6 start. And finally, for me, the expected ascendance of Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence continues. The top pick of the 2021 draft, throwing for a career best 368 yards on a bad wheel, and matched his personal best with a trio of touchdown strikes in a victory over the Tennessee Titans. A horrid 36-22 loss to the Jags capped an ugly week for the Titans, who combined had 5 turnovers. Not great in Tennessee. Passing it over to you to take us home, Mr. Moore.
Right. It is way too soon to know if quarterback Mike White is the Jets' long-term answer under centre, given the continued presence of former number 1 overall draft pick Zach Wilson and White's own expiring contract. But no discounting White's toughness. He absorbed a slew of vicious shots on Sunday, 2 that folded him like a cheap Bills Mafia table, and landed him in the hospital after the game as a precautionary measure. Yet he came back from both hits and missed only a few snaps, despite his barbecued ribs. Those shots were vicious.
I saw
as well. You were just like, oh my god.
I saw a comment that said this is legally the hardest you can hit a quarterback.
I saw that tweet, and it was one of the ones where you could watch it back 100 times, and I imagine you'd see something different on his body just leaving.
He was folded. He was
left his
folded
body. His
heart.
mortgage repayments left his body. Like his childhood sweetheart left his body. He just got absolutely nailed. And it was that one, like, you just wanted to sort of freeze frame it and just slow it down and just watch him. Just like, he goes from like this to that in about 1/10 of a second. He gets absolutely ruined. Anyway, carry on.
Speaking of Jets quarterbacks, or former Jets quarterbacks, in the battle of former Jets quarterbacks, Sam Darnold's Panthers got the better of Geno Smith's Seattle Seahawks, 30-24. He's quite looking surprisingly competent, Darnold. A very nice Sunday for the Washington Commanders. Heels up during their bye week. They rose from 8th to 6th place. Good for the second wild card in the NFC standings, courtesy of losses by the Giants and Seahawks. And last but not least, everybody's favourite quarterback, as per shortest for a new starting quarterback in at least 27 years, but it is worth noting that quarterback John Wolford was actually credited with the win for LA because he merely took the first 3 offensive snaps and didn't throw a pass before giving way to Mayfield on Thursday night. Excellent stuff.
Like we said before, the GOAT has entered SoFi Stadium.
I would love to see Baker Mayfield's passer percentage for completions in that game. My word. Did they gain yardage on any play that wasn't handed off? He was catastrophic in that game. And then, the next day, Baker Mayfield, he's the Messiah. He played terribly, yet managed to win the game. So that's all that matters. A win's a win. As they said in Fast and Furious, a win is a win.
Tomorrow
We will tell you all about it as well.
And whether you're good at the game or not, as long as you win...
There you go then, gentlemen. That is week 14. Done, dusted, bored, wrapped, sorted, under the tree, ready for some unsuspecting sap to do with it what they need to. We move on to week 15, and we have all made our predictions, so we'll rattle through these games nice and quickly, just so there's a side bet left for me and Andy to go through, and then send you on your merry way, ladies and gentlemen. So we open the week with the San Francisco 49ers, Matthew Moore's San Francisco 49ers, no less, taking on the intra-divisional Seattle Seahawks. And I believe if they win this, the 49ers will clinch the division. So how do we think this is going to go? So Andy and Matt think we have a clinching scenario, and they've gone for the 49ers. I think the Seahawks might just get this one done, as it's in their house. They don't like the 49ers.
Do you know why I went with the 49ers? Because you just can't guarantee that the Seahawks are going to get it done. It seems like this season, every time you've looked at a game and gone, Seahawks are going to get this one, they lose. And the rest of the time, they're doing fine. The 49ers, on the other hand, banged up beyond belief, yet still getting it done. That was the way I thought it through, and went, I'm going to have to go with the 49ers.
I'm going to jinx it now, but the thing with the 49ers is the defense is scary.
Yeah.
And they've not got any injuries on the defense.
I heard a clip of a radio show.
4 or 5 of them go out this weekend, but the defense is just scary.
I heard a clip of a radio show where Brady was saying that they've got the number 1 defense. Like, really?
Doesn't surprise me. The next 3 games we've got are the Saturday slot of games for the first time this season. So, we have, and they're all consensus picks, we've all picked the same way on this one. We've all got the Vikings to beat the Colts, the Ravens to beat the Browns, and the Bills to beat the Dolphins. We then move back to the Sunday slate of games. Myself and Andy have taken the Saints to beat the Falcons, whereas Matt has got the Falcons in that one. We've all taken the Steelers to beat the Panthers. We've all taken the Eagles to beat the Bears, the Chiefs to beat the Texans, the Cowboys to beat the Jaguars. Next up, Matt and Andy both think the Jets will bounce back against the Detroit Lions, whereas I think the Lions are riding a bit of a crest of a wave and will get the job done in that one. Next up, we've got the Denver Broncos at home to the Arizona Cardinals. Matt and Andy both think that Colt McCoy is going to lead the Cardinals to a win now that Kyler Murray's done for the season with his torn ACL. I think that coming off the back of his best result, his best game as a Bronco, I think Russell Wilson will probably get the win in this one, although the Broncos are out of the playoff running now, so they might start playing.
Isn't Wilson injured though as well? I thought he didn't leave the game early on.
Yeah, he took a knock to the head and had a massive bump.
That was my thinking in that one.
Also, by now, he'll have booked his off-season holiday, and that's all he'll be thinking about, making sure it's splashed all over social media so that everybody knows that he didn't go to the playoffs, so he could go on. Moving on.
Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. Matt and Andy both think the Patriots will do this one. I think the Raiders will bounce back and get themselves back in the win column here. And then to round out the week, we have all taken the Chargers to beat the Titans, the Bengals to beat the Buccaneers, the Commanders to beat the Giants on the Sunday Night Football, and then on the Monday Night Football, we've all got the Packers to take care of business against the Los Angeles Rams. That is your Week 15 slate of games. Andrew.
Yes.
That just leaves us with the side bet.
So, I know what you're going to ask me.
Would you like to go first or second, my friend?
I'm absolutely going first, and I know what you're thinking. Damn it, I've just lost out on picking the Bills. But you're wrong. If you want the Bills, take them, because I will be taking the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Chicago Bears.
Philly Eagles. Interesting.
Do you know why?
First pick.
Because although I put down the Bills to win that game, I think that game's got shithousery written all over it. Anyway, carry on.
Absolutely. So, my first pick. I think I will go for... Let's have a look at... Yeah. I'll have the Kansas City Chiefs to beat the Houston Texans.
Absolutely.
I will back that up with the Dallas Cowboys to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes, which was absolutely going to be your second pick, and I'm annoyed because that's the one that I was going to go for. Everything gets a little bit dicey from this point on. So, Minnesota Vikings to beat the Indianapolis Colts, please. Obviously, now you need me to pick another one.
Nice.
I mean, that 49ers situation, the Ravens.
So, I don't know if my internet is still picking up anything.
No. I think it's on Andy's end because I couldn't hear him.
Ah, right. So we can't hear you. I believe Andy was saying that he was taking the Ravens to beat the Browns. We can see his lips moving, ladies and gentlemen, but no sound is coming through.
You can fill in the the cool.
Oh my god! It's literally that episode of The Simpsons where Moe just basically sort of like goes the Atlanta Falcons. So we may.
He's going to type it up on his screen now to tell us what's going on.
Amazing. So, if you just nod, you're taking the Saints.
Oh,
interesting. My last two. So, did you pass on the Ravens? I'll have the Ravens to beat the Browns then, please. As much as it pains me to say it, because, F Baltimore and all that. And my final pick, yeah, they're at home. I'll go for the Bills to beat the Dolphins. Which just leaves you, sir, to give us your final selection.
Do it in a charade so we can work it out.
The Cincinnati Bengals to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So just to clarify, ladies and gentlemen, we have Andy has taken the Eagles to beat the Bears, the Vikings to beat the Colts, the Saints to beat the Falcons, and the Bengals to beat the Bucks. I've got the Chiefs to beat the Texans, the Cowboys to beat the Jags, the Ravens to beat the Browns, and the Bills to beat the Dolphins. As he's not able to, I will just thank Mr. Moore for joining us this week on the podcast to give us his selections and talk you through some delicious stats. On behalf of the mute Mr. Cook, thank you all for joining us this week to break down week 14 and look forward to week 15 of the NFL season. We'll all ask you to join us again next week, where Andy's voice box may have returned to him and he may be able to say the words, "Thank you for joining us. We'll see you all next week, ladies and gentlemen." But for now, it's tatty bye.
So there we go. Big apologies from me for the technical difficulties. Not really sure what's happened there, but hopefully not too much of a disruption. Big thank you to Paul and Matt for keeping us on track. And big thank you to you for listening or watching and sticking with us through these technical difficulties. Please consider like, share, subscribe and comment. I know it doesn't always run smoothly, but sometimes it does. If you want to check out our website, it's thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button for you to get in touch with us, even if it's just to tell us how terrible our technical difficulties are. That's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
You've just listened to another episode of Cookie Cast. Thanks for listening.